Hello, welcome to the last days of my current studio. Got a new project that'll be following me to the new studio. Picked this up last week. This is a Tom Martinson 6-string bass. Tom builds basses out of Tennessee, and his basses have been making the rounds online, especially more lately, I've noticed, because they are very good looking instruments at a really low price point. He'll do custom orders, he does some off-the-shelf stuff as well. The little bit I've been able to kind of put together from his website, because there's not a lot there, seems like his basses go from anywhere from $750, $800 for one of his nicer 4 strings, up to, I'm not even dead sure what this would go for new. I found this at Cream City Music here in Milwaukee, hanging on the wall for $1,000. I got it for $875 for reasons we'll go into. So what I'm going to do is kind of walk you through some different aspects of this bass, because it needs a lot of work. It looks really nice up close. It looks even nicer from about 10 feet away, but there are definitely some flaws throughout that I'll be working to address. This just gives you a good view of the front and back and otherwise. Oh, and then the cavity. But yeah, I'll be taking you guys through what I'm capable of doing in terms of doing some upgrades and some repairs on this thing. And then showing you guys what I'm not capable of doing, so we'll be outsourcing. So stay tuned. Okay, so here's the first problem we're gonna have to deal with. I've just pulled the pickup covers off, which, taking a look at these, they are very thick. I'm sure part of that is because of how thick the pickups are. Though honestly, looking at that one at least, looks like this one could have been sunk in a little deeper depending on how deep the poles are. I don't even know what they are. The problem is that they are hot glued in. And my research is telling me that I can use some rubbing alcohol to melt the glue and try to get these suckers out. You can also take a look inside the cavities. The routing isn't as clean. I'm not entirely sure how deep that should go, but especially with the height of these pickups and the fact that they were screwed all the way down to clear the strings, I think a little extra depth is going to be needed here. This may be one of the outsourcing things I have to do, because I do not have a router or routing table currently, and probably won't have one for a minute. This one back here is even a little bit worse, though there's some shielding there, so that's cool. But you can see the routing over there. It's uneven on this side, and then over there, I mean, there's quite a lip. So yeah, not sure how that's going to work, but yeah, first job is going to be getting these pickups out so I can even tell what the heck they are. One of the big issues I have with this is that the B string does not speak. Now this appears to be wide enough for a 6-string pickup, but in just doing some online research, it looks like the pickups that are this size, it's like a Music Man size, that are 6-pole, most of the ones I can find online are like $30 eBay deals. So I'm wondering if either A, the poles up here aren't aligned correctly, or B, it's just not a well-wound pickup. I guess I'll figure it out if I can get all of this unstuck. So we shall see. So the easy one's been done now. Looked this up, and it's a cheap pickup that's $30 for a set of them from somewhere in China. I'll include a picture of that. But that's what was glued in there. Tape wasn't even taken off the top here. The rubbing alcohol did come in handy just to get this glue to unstick from the side. I have a feeling that's going to be a much bigger challenge right there. But this one, I would have thought based on the response that that pole was the one under the B string, but this is how I pulled it out. So I'm wondering if maybe it just wasn't even. Maybe it was a little bit off kilter or something like that. Yeah, it's not gonna let me flip the orientation. But I'll have to take some measurements. But to my eyeballs, there's no way this pickup's actually wide enough. Just where this string would come over. Like, I'm surprised it made as much sound as it did, so I have a feeling the pickup was a little bit more shifted that way. Because there's no way, width-wise, I mean, that would explain why the B string was just completely non-existent. Well, at least if it's the same spacing on this one, because this one put out so little sound. That was another issue, is that this one compared to this one was so quiet, and there's a wiring issue which we'll get into. I think they're wired out of phase or something like that, and once we get into the electronics you'll kind of see what's going on there. There's some interesting splices and things like that in there. I have a feeling that the wrong Chinese components will continue as we go. So as of right now, it looks like this pickup's too narrow, and if I hold it up to the other one, I'm not dead sure if that's going to make a lot of difference. So, but I'll make this distinction several times throughout all of these videos. I'm not a luthier, I'm not a guitar builder, I'm just decent at doing my own setups. But yeah, if you hold it up even just center it here, that right there explains why the B string might have been off and why the pickups may have been a little bit more that way, which would explain why the B string was so flat off of it. So I'll see what I can do about getting this other pickup out. This one's going to be a bigger challenge. Finally out, and this looks like another probably no-name Chinese thing. Actually looks like he had to modify it, slash it came damaged, but it looked like to get it to fit within the pickup covers, I had to file that down and file those two down just to get them to slide in there. And it definitely, I mean, obviously it doesn't match up with the screw holes. Gonna need the pickup covers for sure. So this will be a solution that I need to work out. This appears to be the same spacing. I don't have a measuring tape down here, but this appears to be the same spacing as the other one. So I'm gonna have to see what I can do about pickups, because This one sounds okay, but again, B string is just non-existent. So I get a feeling what happened is that when this thing was in here, it was shifted this way towards the treble side. And that's why the B didn't want to speak at all. See, I don't think, oh, this will stretch. You know, compare it here. And again, I know the strings are gonna get narrower as they go over the pickups, but if you look at that, it's not the best starting point. Even by here, strings are going to be not quite matching up. What I will do right now is string up a high C and a low B and just see what it looks like. So here's where we are without the pickup covers. If I hold this relatively solid, even, you can kind of see the problem. Now, I don't have a 6-string with exposed poles, so maybe my 6s that I currently have this issue. What I think is that the pickup was a little bit more like that. And that's what's creating the issue here. Now, I can't really... It does, in a way... I can't do it one-handed. But it does seem kind of along the lines of this spacing is a little too narrow. And then the other wiring issue I was talking about, there's the bridge pickup. And that's what it was doing from the very get-go. As soon as I go over to neck, it's fine. Bridge, not so good. Then it does have mid, highs, and lows. But yeah, getting this spacing does not appear to be happy. And maybe there's a happy medium to be had there, but I am gonna just try a different pickup, I think. See if I can get something with a little bit wider reach, because this doesn't seem to be doing it. Okay, so here's where the fun begins. First off, there's the battery cavity for the 9-volt. We'll set there for now. So, as far as I can tell from looking at this stuff, there's some interesting Chinesium in here. But what's a little scarier are some of these wire splices, like this one. That's scary. Over here on that, I mean, any of that's touching the shielding, it's not going well. So I'm not sure where a lot of the inspiration here came from. Let's see, what does that say? Let's move that out of the way. shcmusic.com. I'll be looking that up, but just from what I'm hearing so far, I'm not terribly impressed. So it's an active system. Looks like that's the blend knob. That's right there is part of my buzzing. The fact the blend runs right into that. The pickups run into it. They're not particularly well. I mean, nothing's connected well there. That's going to be my, looks like my mid, and I'm assuming where the brain of most of this setup is. It's not a push-pull system or anything like that. So, I don't know, I can't tell if there's anything adjustable about it. I don't think there is. There's my stacked treble bass. And it looks like, you know, a lot of those solder connections are solid. So So it's like some things about this were done decently, and then some things were just not so much. I wonder how much of this was just pre-wired, and then that splice was done to just put these pickups in and wire up whatever the pre-done preamp here is. Maybe that would solve some of my buzzing issues and make this worthwhile to keep for a minute. But since I'm going to be replacing the pickups anyway, this is all going to be a gut and redo. So this and the pickups are the reason why I got this base for $875. Now, I don't know how much Tom charges for these new. Haven't reached out to him yet to try to get some more information on it. As you saw in the teardown video, I'm assuming that that is what's going to be, or that's what's acceptable as the serial number. So didn't know that was there. So yeah, the next part of this series will focus on the pickups I've selected. Hopefully I will have selected them by then. And then we'll also be taking a look at some of the base's other positive features. You know, for instance, stuff like hip shot. So there's some good stuff on here. But then some other little build quality things and some neck things that I'll be probably outsourcing, but I'll do my best to show you what's up with that. So until then, happy playing, and if you've got a project that you can, you know, put your own little spin on, then by all means go for it.